Dear students, today we are going to discuss about the what do you mean by the payment, what are the different types of the payment, what are the different components of the payment, their functions and comparison. So any paved surface, any design surface, prepared surface which is a motorable one on which the vehicles can move or the ply, that surface is called as the pavement. Basically, there are three types of the payments are classified into three groups: flexible payment and rigid payment. So you may add one more category as semi-rigid payment. If you use some intermediate class of the material or the stabilized material in the one of the intermediate layer of the payment, that is a subbase or the base course, then that type of the payment is called as semi-rigid payment. But mainly the payments are divided into two categories: flexible payment and rigid payment. One of the simple differentiation between the flexible payment and the rigid payment is any payment other than cement concrete payment is called as flexible payment, and all the cement concrete payments are called as the rigid payment. In this picture you will find this is the finished view of the flexible payment, and this is the finished view of the rigid payment. And during the any stage of the construction, this is the view of the one of the layer of the top layer of the flexible payment, and this is the view of the rigid payment when the construction is going on. So payments are basically divided into two categories: flexible payment and rigid payment. If you look at the structure of the flexible payment, cross section of the flexible payment and rigid payment, in flexible payment you will find the lowermost layer as a subgrade, then subbase, base course and wearing course. This lowermost layer is the subgrade, this is subbase, base course and this is wearing course. In rigid payment, lowermost layer is subgrade, this is base course and wearing course. It means the number of layers in the rigid payments are less compared to the flexible payment, because here the strength of the cement concrete slab is more compared to the bituminous material. So this is a cross section of the flexible payment and the rigid payment. So how in both the cases we are using the large volume of the aggregates for the construction of the different layers of the flexible and rigid payment. But if you look at the structure of the flexible payment, when the wheel load is acting on the road surface, whatever the stresses induced due to the wheel load, they will be maximum at the top and minimum at the bottom, and it will go on transferring by grain to grain contact between the different aggregate interfaces. So this is another view how the wheel load distribution take place. So the wheel load is transferred in the form of the truncated cone. So at an angle of load dispersion is at an angle of 45 degree with the base. It means that the magnitude of the wheel load stresses will be maximum at the top, and it will go on reducing as the depth of the pavement increases. That means in the surface layer stresses will be more, in the subbase it will go on, it will be less, and further it will be less on the subgrade. This is another picture of the flexible payment and the rigid payment. This is load distribution. So in case of the flexible payment, and how the load is distributed in case of the rigid payment. See, in flexible payment, I am repeating again, load is transferred by grain to grain contact, whereas in load is transferred by the slab action. So this is another picture of the rigid payment. So this is the finished rigid payment surface. Depending on the width of the pavement, you can consider as a single lane road or the two lane road. Consider this is as a two lane road. Then the total pavement section is divided into number of panels or the number of cement concrete slab. So because of this nature, there will be two types of the joints. One joint along the length is called as longitudinal joint, and across the width of the pavement is called as the transverse joint. Same are represented diagrammatically here. This is the longitudinal joint and these are the transverse joint. Depending on the position of the joint, the transverse joints may be expansion joint, it may be contraction joint, or it may be construction joint, or the warping joint. If you look at the joint, so as the pavement is constructed as a two-line pavement, so two slabs are there. To hold these two slabs, you need to provide some bars here. Some reinforcement is required, that is called the tie bars here. And at the joint portion, at the transfer joint portion, the large diameter short length bars are embedded in the cement concrete pavement. So one end is fixed, one end is movable to allow for expansion and the contraction of the slab to accommodate this movement. So these bars are called as the dowel bar. These are the dowel bars are provided here. This one. So another view of the dowel bars are here. This at the transfer joint. So and these bars between the two adjacent slab is called as the tie bars. This is another view of the plain jointed cement concrete pavement. As you know that the concrete is strong in compression but the weak in tension. To take care of the tension, sometimes we need to provide these reinforcement, what you call as a temperature reinforcement. So these are the tie bars and the dowel bars. This is load distribution. This is another view of showing the different layers of the flexible pavement: subgrade, subbase, base course and wearing course. So what is the function of the subgrade? What is the function of the subbase? What is the function of the base? And what is the function of the surface course? So if you look at the subgrade is the lowermost layer. So which receives the layers placed over it. That means subgrade receives the subbase, base course and surface course. Depending what is subgrade, is a natural ground is called as subgrade. If the strength of the subgrade is not adequate, strength of the ground is not adequate, then we have to prepare it by borrowing some good quality material, granular material. Usually the aggregates can be used or the hard murum can be used. So it is an important structural element of the any kind of the pavement. You have to prepare the subgrade in such a way that it should not deflect excessively under the dynamic loads or the moving load. Subgrade may be in cutting or it may be in filling. If the formation level is above the ground level, then it is called as embankment. If the formation level is below the ground level, then it is called as cutting. So what are the different functions of the pavement components? So subgrade to receive the layers placed over it. Subbase, it provides additional help to base and surface to help in distributing the load. It prevents the intrusion of fine materials into the base layer. It minimizes the damaging effect of the frost action, especially in case of the rigid pavements. And the base course, which acts as a structural portion of the pavement and it distributes the load. So main strain, the capacity is due to the base course only. Then wearing course or the surface course. What is the bituminous layer in case of the flexible pavement is called as wearing course or the surface course. So it acts as an impervious layer. It prevents the entry of water into the different layers of the pavement. So life, strength and stability will be depend on the impervious of the material. And it also resists the abrasive forces. It offers the friction and also provides smooth riding quality. So apart from the impervious property of this layer, so it should resist the abrasive forces. When the vehicle is moving on the road surface, some particles may be present. So that particle get caught between the tire and pavement surface and which results into the abrasive action. From the stability point of view of the vehicle, it should offer the good friction factors in the longitudinal direction as well as in the transverse direction. As you know that when you apply the brakes to stop the vehicle, the distance covered by the vehicle will be depend on the friction available apart from the other parameters. So it should provide the smooth riding quality. Surface should be good. Ultimately, it results into the less consumption of the fuel, less wear and tear of the vehicle component parts, and the life of the pavement will be more. And also, it will provide the good comfort to the road user. A road user may be passenger or a driver. Then look at the comparison between the flexible and rigid pavement. Flexible pavement is a multi-layer structure with low flexural strength, whereas the rigid pavement, only one course of the cement concrete slab is important with the high flexural strength. One of the important characteristic of the flexible pavement is it reflects the deformation of the subgrade and subsequent layers, that is the subbase and base course, onto the top surface, that is the wearing course. Whereas you will not find such deformation in case of the rigid pavement. Why? Because it has ability to bridge over localized failures or minor failures and areas of inadequate supports. Another point of the comparison is the stability of the flexible pavement depends on aggregate interlocking, particle friction and cohesion. From the interlocking point of view, the angular aggregates are suggested to use in the construction work. Whereas in rigid pavement, the structural capacity is supplied by the pavement slab itself by the beam action. Then the flexible pavement design is greatly influenced by the subgrade strength, whereas the rigid pavement design is greatly influenced by the flexural strength of the concrete, what you call as a modulus of elasticity of the concrete is very important. So how it is greatly influenced by the subgrade strength? The strength of the subgrade is less, more thickness will be required to cover the subgrade. If the strength of the subgrade is more, less thickness is required. Whereas in case of the rigid pavement, the flexural strength of the concrete plays the very vital role. So it functions, flexible pavement functions by way of load distribution through component layers by grain to grain contact, whereas the rigid pavement distributes loads over the wider area of the subgrade because of its rigidity and high modulus of elasticity. Some of the important points of the comparison, some of the common examples of the flexible pavements are the bituminous pavements and waterborne macadam roads, whereas the common examples of the rigid pavements are the cement concrete roads, any kind of cement concrete road. It may be plain cement concrete, reinforced cement concrete, continuously reinforced concrete, or the pre-stressed cement concrete. So these are the some of the few points of comparison between the flexible and rigid pavement. If you look at these points, this comparison is on the basis of the technical parameter, not general parameter. In today's lecture, we have discussed about what do you mean by the pavement, what are the types of the pavement, what are the different components of pavement and their function, what is the comparison between the flexible pavement and the rigid pavement. For the preparation of this video, I have referred the book of the highway engineering by Khanna and Jasto and the book A Course on Highway Engineering by S. P. Pindra. Thank you for your patience listening.